Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dustin James Show. I am your host, Dustin James, and it's another beautiful day. Let me tell you, wow, where to even start? Let's get some stuff out of the way, covering some things that I've talked about in the past. Fake news is just getting faker, and it's kind of sad at this point. Microsoft has introduced a new feature to their Edge browsers, also available as an extension for Chrome and Firefox in case you want to mess up your perfectly good Firefox browser, called NewsGuard. Yes, NewsGuard, because that's what we need. More corporate tech companies telling us what's fake news and what's real news. In an article we've got online here, it just shreds this NewsGuard extension for these browsers. It's phenomenal. I'm reading off of Breitbart. I believe they linked this from WorldNet Daily. It's just incredible. They go through a litany, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but they go through a litany of stories that are proven false, that NewsGuard marks as verified, truthful stories, and they continue on with a list of stories that are marked as false, which are verified and truthful stories. It's just incredible. There's a couple of the headlines here I'll read for you. An article that NewsGuard called false here, just the headline, Trump, chance of reaching deal on wall less than 50-50 from Breitbart. They called that fake news. Are you kidding me? It's an opinion piece, first of all, and not to mention that, a bit of a puff opinion piece that may even, fit the lefty narrative a little bit better. It's incredible. The reason it's marked false is because it came from Breitbart, and obviously this NewsGuard, right, which is supposed to be a definitive guide to what's real and what's fake, has blacklisted just about anything from Breitbart because it's a conservative website. It's amazing. A couple of the headlines that are true, verified news. Donald Trump directed Michael Cohen to lie to Congress about Trump Tower meeting, debunked by Robert Mueller. Russian operation hacked a Vermont utility. That was from the Washington Post in 2016. That turned out to be a lie. They've got an article from USA Today. Melania Trump was an undocumented working model in 1996. That turned out to be a lie, but these are marked as verified true by this brand new news rating service. Thank you, Microsoft. Thank you. I really needed your help on that one. Moving on, the Jussie Smollett story isn't going away, and it's not looking any better for Jussie, as he continues with his narrative that he was beat up and had a noose put around his neck and had a chemical substance poured on him in downtown Chicago by white homophobic Trump supporters shouting, "This is MAGA country." Many of the details were debunked almost immediately, and now the PD... Actually, the Chicago PD have come out and refuted a lot of the details of the story. They released some pictures of the, alleged, or at least persons of interest, we should say that. They released a picture of two persons of interest walking down the street, and it couldn't be any less helpful. It's just two dark shadow figures walking down the street. There's no detail. You can't tell if they're white men. Nobody can tell if they're white men, according to the Chicago PD. They're wearing masks and gloves. Nobody knows that there's no pictures of them near Smollett. The only picture they found of Smollett was Smollett standing alone outside. It's just incredible what they take and run with. And this is the hate crime. This is what we're supposed to believe. And they're just trying to work everybody up into a tizzy about race relations and things like this. I'm still not saying this didn't happen, because I'll leave that for somebody else to decide, but it's looking worse and worse. And it was actually quite interesting. I heard another one that just an aside, on the radio today, I was listening. Apparently, another actress from this Empire show, which I've never seen of, which probably makes me a racist because I don't watch Empire. Right? I don't watch much TV at all, to be frank. But this other actress, and forgive me, I'm just relaying this in a very cursory fashion, but apparently her son was stopped out in California, and this actress and consequently her son are African Americans as well, and she claimed her son was racially profiled, and when the police out there in California released all the dash cams, it proved that they were extremely lenient with the young man, and no such racial profiling had taken place. So it's just curious, another actor from the same series that Smollett acts on is also accusing authorities of being racist or something of the like. Racial profiling, that's the word I'm looking for. It's incredible. That turned out to be false. Like I said, isn't that what it just seems to happen all the time? These things turn out to be false, whether it takes a day or a week or a year. When it comes around to it, and many of these stories are false, and they're promoted heavily within the mainstream media. It's incredible. But thank goodness we have NewsGuard to protect us. They'll tell us the truth every time. Moving on from that, it was a wonderful day. A couple days ago, the OIG, the Office of the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, released a one-page little summary which detailed some wrongdoing by 2 current senior FBI officials and one FBI official, or retired, pardon me, one retired FBI official, as well as an FBI contractor. And the OIG statement alleges that this contractor engaged in certain inherent governmental activities. Now, this is interesting because I'm over here at TracyBeans.com. If you don't know Tracy Beans, she's a wonderful investigative reporter. She's been on top of this sort of Spygate, deep state, if you will, story for a couple of years now anyway, and she does fantastic work. And she's also, I don't want to go too far because I can't corroborate a lot of this stuff. Anyway, reading from her article, it says, let's take this in parts. First, the IG states that as a result of conduct by 2 current senior FBI officials and one retired FBI contractor engaged in inherent governmental activities. Now, what's an inherent governmental activity? Then this is important, and it's slightly confusing, and I think that's because this is the beginning of the avalanche of the narrative crashing down around all of the Democrats, around the Obama administration, the DOJ, FBI, who are using this intelligence gathering capabilities of the United States government to essentially attempt to prevent Donald Trump from winning the presidency, and after he won, to ensure that his tenure in the office was as short as possible. So what is an inherent governmental activity that was undertaken by 2 FBI officials that remain with the agency and one who's retired, along with this government contractor? Well, an inherent governmental activity is the direction and control of intelligence and counterintelligence operations. So essentially, what this works out to is a government contractor who has access to government data acquisition capabilities, i.e. spying capabilities, was querying this information without a constitutional grounds for their queries. They were abusing the system, is what it amounts to. And when they were discovered by Admiral Rogers of the NSA in April 18th, 2016, he shut down all access from these outside contractors, every outside contractor, of this intelligence gathering capabilities, because the abuse was so gross, and it was never meant to be used that way. All right, this first of all, the Fourth Amendment provides the Americans the right for against unreasonable search and seizures, which is exactly what this is. These tools were never meant to be used on Americans. Supposedly, at least constitutionally, they're never meant to be used on Americans. Maybe they had that goal in mind the whole time when they set them up. But these are supposed to be terrorist observing tools. We're supposed to use these to look at the people who are trying to cause harm to our country. And instead, it appears that the Obama administration and contractors that were hired were using it to harm the United States. It's incredible. And Tracy Beans goes on to, at the end of the report here, make some deductions, we'd call it, on who these possibly who the government contractor were and the FBI officials. So she says the FBI officials who are still with the FBI, she believes them to be Bill Priestap and Dana Bente. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Dana is a gentleman as well. Maybe he's a gentleman. Maybe he's just a man. But Bill Priestap and Dana Bente, and possibly the third, the retired FBI official, would be James Baker. And Tracy also puts the deduction out there that this government contractor was Fusion GPS. Now, we've talked about Fusion GPS before, and it's really important and critical if this is the case, because if this was Fusion GPS, they were working as a government contractor at the same time as they were hired by the Hillary Clinton campaign to dig up to develop the Russian dossier with Christopher Steele, which has been discredited. So they were working for a government, as a government contractor with access to the United States government spy capabilities, and then they were hired by Hillary Clinton to dig up dirt on Donald Trump. And essentially, they were querying these government databases for all the information they could possibly get on Trump and everybody in his orbit. And they're this is gonna come crashing to the earth. The reason that this OIG report is written cryptically, it doesn't give these names out, is because we're not there yet. We're not there quite yet, but this stuff is leaking. We've had testimony from Nellie Orr, who worked for Fusion GPS, that was leaked out. Nellie Orr had a ham radio, and she was talking across the Pacific, allegedly, pardon me, the Atlantic. I guess it would be going that way. Maybe the Pacific too. We've got Australia, New Zealand, and the UK who are members of Five Eyes along with us, and Canada. And so the working knowledge says that she was communicating with some of those people via ham radio, which is in an effort to avoid these information gathering technologies. You see, you call somebody on a cell phone, the NSA has it recorded, period. I don't care who you are. Now, they're not supposed to be able to just access that without probable cause, but if you don't want it to be recorded because you know that if somebody looks into you, they will find probable cause, maybe you want to call on a damn ham radio. This is incredible. This is incredible. And meanwhile, while Nellie Orr was working for Fusion GPS, her husband, Bruce Orr, was employed at the DOJ, and it turns out he was delivering information that was hand-delivered to him by Fusion GPS straight into the FBI information systems, and essentially laundering the information, as Dan Bongino would put it. This is money laundering is the way, but it's very similar. So money laundering, you get illicit cash, and you can't just put it in the bank, right? Because the IRS is going to start asking questions, and so you have to pay for something with cash and then sell it, or however, like the drug cartels buy used cars with cash in the States and ship them over by the barge load to Africa and sell them for cash. Now all of a sudden they've cleaned their money. Have you watched Ozarks? You know about money laundering. I'm sure there was money laundering in Breaking Bad there too. Yeah, this is a fairly common concept. Now, if you just apply it to the information, it's the same idea. This illicit information was given to Bruce Orr by his wife and others at Fusion GPS, and in order to introduce it without it being suspected, he had to bring it into the FBI. Now the information's not vetted, and it looks like it came from the FBI, not from Fusion GPS or some other third party with political motives. And that's exactly what it was. It was information from a third party with political motives in an effort to investigate and or take down Donald Trump. The problem is the guy must be freaking squeaky clean because nobody's been able to nail him with anything. It's been 2, 3, 4 years that they've been investigating this guy. Well, since 16, maybe not 4 years, but we're getting onto it. That they were trying to look into this guy and dig up any dirt they possibly could. There's still no Russian collusion. They haven't been able to nail him on anything. And when you've got the full weight of the United States information gathering services trained upon you, and there is no crimes found in your life. I mean, think deeply, reflect about your life for just a moment, and if somebody could see what you did every moment of every day, and every text message and every email and every phone conversation that you've ever sent or had, do you think they could maybe find a felony? The truth is they could find a felony. All of us, every single one of us, whether it's a minor, major, intentional or not. There's so many laws that it would be impossible to be able to not be able to find something on just about any American. Just about any American. It's incredible that Donald Trump has made it this far without any credible allegations of any crime that he's committed. And it's just brilliant. It's brilliant because this information is coming out. There are grand juries in place for McCabe. I believe that's public knowledge. And as I've said in the past videos, this is going to come crashing down on them. And when it does, it's going to crash hard. And the avalanche of proofs is going to be remarkable. It's going to be remarkable. The evil things and the unconstitutional things. And this is just from the election standpoint. We didn't even start talking about Benghazi. We didn't even start talking about 9/11. We didn't even start talking about the Iran deal or the pallets of cash or anything. This is brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm thrilled. It's going to take some time yet, I'm sure. I wish it would go faster, but there's a reason that these things are taking so long to develop. And part of that's the public narrative. Part of it's to show that everything the news reports is fake. They're every damn day it's getting worse for them, and that's why they have to develop this news guard, which is in and of itself fake news. Oh my goodness gracious, people, when the truth comes out, it will set us free. Anyhow, if you like what you heard, you can follow me on Twitter at Dustin James Show. You can email me Gmail. That'd be dustinjamesshow@gmail.com. And give me a follow on Twitter. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out in the early stages here. That's everybody. Please thumbs up. Please subscribe. And it's an incredible day. I've said it before, and eventually I'm going to have to start gauging my reactions, because if I get this happy about this stuff coming out, I can't wait until the indictments start rolling. It will be brilliant. Until next time.